You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. I'm Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram, and co-hosting with me as always is Hyung from Integrity Sports Cards. And back from vacation is John, who is Trade You at Recess. So off the top, I don't know if you saw the TMZ exclusive hobby news published recently, but there's a triple autograph card of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe Bryant up for auction by PWCC. And it's the 2008 Upper Deck Radiance triple on-card auto, numbered to 5, and it's graded a BGS 8.5, right? So the current bid is, as of this recording, $160,000. Pretty impressive card. And by the time this episode airs, the auction will be done. So what I want to hear from you guys is, what do you think this card will ultimately go for?
Well, the fact that TMZ got a hold of this and you shared the TMZ article, I mean, it's saying positive stuff, positive vibes. I'm saying another record-breaking sale. I'm thinking $450K.
Okay.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Wow. This is like the Price is Right. We'll find out next week.
But it's crazy. It's numbered to 5, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So quick question. Is there another Kobe, LeBron auto out there? Jordan, triple auto card.
I think there is.
Good question. Is there?
Because the article states that
there was another sale.
There was one.
Like,
and I'm pretty sure the one that sold before, I don't think it was this card. I could be wrong.
A different one though.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing this triple autofocus card.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty crazy card if you think it looks like acetate too, I believe.
Yeah, it's possible.
And very clean autos though.
Right, it has like the round corners.
Okay, $450K.
$450K.
Wow.
I'm saying close at $450.
I thought you would have said like $1 million. I was thinking like $1 million to be honest. Because
you never know.
The only thing that I think would stop this from being like $1 million card is it's kind of a boring looking card. If this was like if this was exquisite with some gold foil on it, or if it was flawless or something like that, it'd be $1 million card. But it's triple autofocus, upper deck. It's kind of, I don't know, when you look at it, it's kind of looks boring, but it does have the clean autos. I for sure it's right. There's no question to me it's going to be record breaking. If the last triple auto of the Three Goats was 330,000, this is going to go well above that. I think it's going to clear $500,000 at least. I was actually thinking $1 million, but maybe I'm way off. I don't know.
All right. We'll see who's right. I was thinking like last one was 320, so I think it was going to be about 400. Like, I don't know, the market being where it is, that might play a factor into it. Yeah. So I'm going to say 400. But then now that the TMZ article has kind of put a spotlight on it,
right?
I can see it going a bit higher.
It's so typical of the range, eh? Like 450K to 3 million, somewhere around there. Any given day.
Well, you know why I think $1 million? Because in the last 20 episodes we've been doing this pod, how many $1 million cards have been selling?
Right.
True.
And if I was a billionaire that buys $1 million cards, for $1 million, I personally, and it's just a bias, but I would want this card over some of the other cards that I've sold for $1 million. Sure. So that's what makes me think, man, I think if this was $1 million card, I'd rather have this over, I don't know, Kobe, PMG, blah, 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 Patrick Mahomes, and RPA, like, and such and such, right?
It's pretty wild that you have, it's on-card auto too, right? So you have three.
It is.
That's wild.
Three on-card autos,
goats,
on one,
clean,
which is insane. Yeah,
clean blue ink. There's no streaks.
So I could see it going over what I guessed, but I'm gonna say 450K just because. Yeah, I don't know. I'm uncertain of the market right now. I know it's gonna beat the 320. I believe so, but I guess we'll see.
All right. Yeah, we'll have an update for you on the next episode of Cards to the Moon, and we'll see how much it sells for. All right, let's move on now then to hobby headlines. So for this episode, we're thinking about what news to lead the show with, and we're talking about the triple auto, but there's been a few other significant pieces of sports and hobby-related news over the past week alone. So instead of choosing just one, we decided we'll go over 3 hobby headlines and then discuss what kind of impact it'll have on the hobby, if any. Okay? So first one is Tom Brady's unretirement. So A, were you shocked at this news? And B, is this going to make any impact on any of his card value? What do you guys think?
I think in general, like, everybody is happy with the news. I don't think anybody's upset with the news or anything. So I suspect it to have a positive impact going into the off season with the anticipation of, in season next year. So I think it's going to actually help Brady prices. I think a lot more people are going to be considering him maybe in the offseason, thinking that he might be a good buy. But I personally think it's tough to get any relevant Brady cards at the price point. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's positive in general. Was it expected? You know what? These days, every type of player, I think Brett Favre, you got Aaron Rodgers, and now Brady. So and Michael Jordan did it. So yeah, who knows? We might have it's been done. Maybe a couple more in there in Brady's 20. This is his 23rd season, so it's pretty crazy to witness.
I was pretty surprised. I'm not gonna lie. Like Hyung said, this is positive all around. In the immediate, will it impact his cards in the immediate? I think so. This little like quick buzz, and then leading up to the NFL draft and obviously the hype of the season start. For sure, you're probably going to see a little bit of a buzz on Brady cards. Long term, probably less so of like a huge impact. I think Brady cards would have been fine regardless. We all know that, but this also gives you a couple more chances at some real bumps. Like, for example, if Brady wins another Super Bowl, or I think what Brady missed out on is like a swan song, right? Like everybody who's in their final year and this is finally the final year and there's a swan song and people are like just buying up everything Brady. I think that's going to be the opportunity for some investors when they are looking to sell because his retirement was so unexpected. It didn't really give a chance for people to either sell on a high or buy or whatever. So I think with him coming back, it's going to have a lot, opportunities for more spikes for his cards within the next 1 to 3 years, right? So yeah, good all around for sure.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I was thinking the other way, like how many of those GOAT athletes that come out of retirement, like Michael Jordan, they can't time it perfectly, right? They should have probably left a season ago or when they did retire. Can Tom Brady win a Super Bowl on it could be a disastrous year or it could be a average year for him. And then what does that do to his immediate card values, right? I agree with you though, like the most relevant cards, his rookie cards, his playoff contenders, those aren't going to budge because his legacy is already cemented, right?
What about his touchdown football that sold for $580,000?
I was gonna say.
Oh my gosh! That might become more valuable.
Maybe.
It's one of those commodities that kind of like it's like what it went the other way.
If he gets injured for the whole season and then retires again,
it's been a meme this week or the past week.
Totally.
The guy holding. Or what the guy thinks if he has buyer's remorse for that $518,000 purchase for Tom Brady's last, football. So yeah,
how much do you guys think that's worth right now? Like 10 G's?
Well,
yeah, it's definitely depreciated, or I think it would depreciate. Like I was gonna say on the like the Panini Prism cards of him playing for the Tampa Buccaneers this past year. All those are going down.
Yeah, totally.
So, and then on the flip side, I do think this is probably his last season. And if it is, then like the cards that are coming out for this coming year, then that might have some kind of value, right? But you never know. He could psych us out again. He could come back another year. So buyer beware. All right. The second bit of news is our favorite hometown rapper, Drake, aka Drizzy, breaking stacks of Panini Flawless basketball, looking for that triple LeBron logo man card. Does it matter that another big name is dipping their toes in the hobby, making sports card collecting even more mainstream, or is it all much ado about nothing? What do you guys think?
I think it's great. Somebody like Drake, being that iconic in society, pretty much, whether you like him or not, it's one thing. But the fact that I'm proud that he's a true Toronto like supporter. Like if you're in the city of Toronto, Drake has done a lot in terms of his contribution. So for me to see somebody like that, in the hobby and being involved, I think it brings another dimension into it. Like it's just really, really cool to see, celebrity type guys like Drake, enter the market and see. This is another spin on sports gambling. You see him always sitting courtside. He's doing some sports gambling, but so maybe this is a newfound love for him to hedge his gambling, right? So yeah, I think it's positive in the long run. It was pretty crazy what that video with Golden and Shine, and you're doing flawless case wars, I guess, or pack wars, which is so ridiculous, right? So
it's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like $300,000 or that picture worth of flawless. Yeah.
And then Ben Baller tweeted that he bought like another 40 cases or something like that.
Jeez.
He's addicted already.
I know, right? Insane. No, it's good news all around for sure. There's no question. Look at the buzz it's already creating just on a tweet with the stacks of cases, right? So yeah, no.
He pulled a 101. Drake pulled a 101.
He did the
Ja Morant. Yeah. It was pretty sweet. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
No, that was insane. But not much more to add. I love it. Love the whole thing, and it's really about like Drake fans. Not all of them will like sports cards, but I'm sure there'll be a significant number that are like, wait a minute, Drake's into sports cards, and then they bring that whole crowd into the hobby and create a bigger market, right? For sports cards. So that's going to have a real impact, I think, on sports card values in general.
See, I don't think people understand the impact that marketing, digital media, social media, has on our society, right? And how much impact it makes in terms of relevancy, right? And that's why I think even going back in a generic lens, looking at just basic stats, there's going to be a lot of guys with great stats in terms of a career, but you wonder their card prices, right? Why? And that's the big debate, is it this guy's way better career, yet his prices, like Devers, Bichette, like guys like that who are, get no hobby love, right? So I mean, that's just spinning off in a different direction, but yeah, that's what.
Yeah, agree.
This could also be the buzz that NBA, sports cards really desired right before going to playoffs, right? This is, who knows? This could really like lift NBA back out from the grave. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully, I could buy some basketball cards before that happens. Before there's a spike.
Just not flawless, right?
Yeah, I'm off flawless because I can't afford it. But all right. Lastly, this is your classic injury news, and it involves one of our favorite guys we like to root for in baseball, Fernando Tatis Jr. Reports say it's a wrist fracture, and with surgery, he's out at least 3 months. Are you off of Tatis now? Does he have the injury-prone label on him? Or are you sticking with him?
Unreal. It's unreal. He gets injured off season, right before the season starts. So I'm pretty bummed.
How he did it?
I don't know. I just seen him smiling after his surgery, so all is good. But yeah, I was pretty bummed about the news, but it just made me realize, you know what? There might be a little dip in Tatis prices, and I'm buying at that time because I know what it feels like to be out of the buying time of Tatis. So some of his stuff is really low still, I think, because I did feel like a little dip in his prices. But so this could be the bigger dip that he gets on some some of his cards, right? So if Tatis was kind of like one of your players that you wanted to get, but his prices were insane, especially his autos. At one point, last year, his auto prices were insane that you couldn't even get anything signed, in his rookie year for a reasonable price, right? So I think for most people, they believe in his talent. It's undeniable. The guy could probably have 300 at-bats and put up full season numbers. Let's be real. Right. He misses half the season, he's going to have 300 at-bats with 30 home runs. So at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a quick kind of like turnaround for him. People are going to forget. He's going to be already in his rehab assignment and ready to go. So I see a great buying period, to be honest. And I think some of his prices, I don't think the high end you'll see move much, like his Bowman Chromes in 2016 and some of his Topps Chrome Color and rookie autos. But I think there's a lot of opportunity in the lower end stuff for sure. So it's a buying period for me.
Yeah. Before you go, John, I want to ask Hyung 2 questions because he's played pro baseball. A wrist fracture, do you think that impacts his swing? Like, is that a thing?
I think fractures in general are it's probably the best thing you could do, as long as you're staying away from
a shoulder or
you're not ligaments or muscles or tendons or anything like that. A bone fracture will heal, honestly. I don't see it as an issue at all. Injury prone, like, the guy, I think one thing with Tatis, and this is something that he's going to learn to do as he matures, is learn how to play, consistently and knowing when to go all out, and he's a type of guy that I guess that's why he's so energetic and flashy, is because he's young and he could do that. But as he gets older, he's going to realize longevity and sustainability is just as important, right? So he's going to have to pick and choose his times in terms of when he uses that turbo button. So I'm just hoping that through all this, it's a learning experience, because the talent is definitely undeniable, especially with guys like Soto, Vladdy, and other upcoming, stars that are coming up, like Bobby Witt Jr. and Wander Franco. So he's a guy that, I'm long term on anyways. Even though he's injury prone, I think we're gonna look back at one of the greatest players in modern day baseball.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Yeah. The other question I had was, we didn't really see a dip in Acuna cards when he got his injury, because Acuna collectors are diehards, right? Do you think it's the same with Tatis, or is it not? Absolutely,
and I think that's what we said with Acuna prices. The high end stuff really won't move, and the lower end stuff might take a dip, like his like the 2018 Chrome update. For Acuna, I see that in potentially Topps Chrome or high print run Topps 410, PSA 10s, where they're dipping to $100. Those things were $300 at one point, right? The PSA 10 410 Topps Series 2. So I think the low end stuff will definitely take a hit. But I think the 2016 Bowman Chrome and any other high end desirable Tatis, people aren't selling at these prices. They rather hold through and wait 4 weeks. So I don't see a dip in prices. Especially Acuna was a full year, right? And you had the high end Acuna collector. Even I had a blue Bowman Chrome that before he even took a single swing, it was one of the highest. I think it might have been a record breaking price for a blue Bowman Chrome, right? So it's interesting because what anticipation does, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I think his injury, you're going to see people panic on some of the low end stuff. So you'll probably see. I haven't checked, but I'm going to assume, like, his flagship cards are going to take a bit of a dip, maybe 20%. But yeah, and just like Hyung said, and just like Clark, how you asked, the hardcore collectors, everybody that's in on Tatis, they probably spent a lot of money. They believe in the talent. They believe in the long-term career. So they're not going to just bail on these big cards that they have. But for people that are looking to try and take advantage, maybe there are deals to be had on something like a gold numbered out of 2019 or the Sapphire rookie. Like, those are not so high end, but they're not so low end too. And there's enough movement on those cards that you might see some dip. Those are probably the ones that you would probably try to take advantage of. And I mean, this injury, the buzz with baseball, you could probably be rest assured because of his injury, Tatis's cards are not going to explode like maybe some other people as we head into the beginning of the season. But the buzz will probably also keep his cards afloat and not let them go down, right? And I think the injury was like, I could have read it wrong, but it was up to 3 months, which means 1 month is already into the first game. And then you have maybe at most 2 months recovery, and he'll be back. Next thing you know, he'll be right back in it, right? So,
Hope so.
Yeah, we all hope so. But I think, I think that if you can find a good opportunity, man, I would probably take advantage.
Yeah, this might be your time. I agree with you guys. I have I'm sure I mentioned it on the show before, but I have the Topps Chrome base auto,
Right.
BGS 9.5, and I picked it up in the off season for like $9.95,
Yeah.
which I thought was a steal. And I just checked on Card Ladder, like it's going for $1,400 now.
Nice.
After a couple months. So like
With an
I wanted
injury.
to, yeah. So, but the thing is, I wanted to like kind of do a quick flip and maybe reinvest it into a even bigger Tatis card.
Right,
but with the
right.
injury news, that kind of card is not so high end, not so low end. It might dip down again.
Right.
So I might have to change my strategy and pick up another Topps Chrome auto and get two of them.
And
that's
There you go.
I think that's a good play, and I think that's the beauty of like having or best offer listings, where you know what I mean. If you get that offer you're wanting, otherwise you're gonna hold. And I think the flexibility of like having to sell via bids versus just listing it at a higher price and having the best offer, because somebody might just give you under comps, but it's good enough for you to take the profit and move elsewhere, right? So
right, exactly. Yeah, good point. All right, yeah, we'll see how all this news plays out, but I think we're generally bullish on its impact on sports card hobby. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, let's move on to our next segment. We're calling Data Dive. So this is a new segment where we're just going to dive a little deeper into some sports data and see if we can find players that are overrated or underrated in the hobby. All right, so for this episode, we'll kick things off with hockey since we have Johnny, our resident hockey guy, back. And the stat I looked at is a player's career average PPG stat, points per game stat. And I chose this particular stat because I think it's a key stat that demonstrates the consistency of a player's scoring production in goals and assists. And I know it's not a perfect stat, but let's just go with it for this segment. All right. So looking up some of the data, I came up with a top 10 list of active NHL players leading in this points per game category. So I'll go from 1 to 10. You tell me if the player is overrated or underrated based on where they are on the list. Okay. Any questions before I go on?
are we doing it based on current prices?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, to make it easier. All right.
True.
And just generally, like you can even be specific about which cards, but we
Right.
don't have to get that specific. But all right, number one, out of the active NHL players leading in the points per game category, no surprise, Connor McDavid. He's number 4 overall if you count all the retired players. But yeah, he's number 1 on the active list. What do you guys think?
That's pretty crazy. But I think he's underrated. Like it's crazy. I think you're witnessing greatness, in our modern era. So I'm gonna say underrated. I think his PSA 10 Young Guns is hovering around 3,000 to 3,500. I think that's a little low for a player like Connor McDavid. And I guess that's debatable too, because he's had a young career. But I think based on his trajectory, I think he's that type of player that is gonna continually rise. I don't see his prices getting cheaper, in a couple years when he puts up more stats. So I think the fact that he's 4th overall period in scoring and points per game, that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you
Right.
think, John?
I am also going to say underrated, as surprising that might sound to a lot of people, or maybe not. I don't know. Like Hyung said, Connor McDavid is generational. There's no question. Anybody who watches hockey or knows hockey, he's a generational talent. And the only thing that's really stopping his prices from taking another step right now is obviously he's not winning. He hasn't really won anything. He hasn't proven he's a winner. And that's really stopping people from going like mega all in, right? So I firmly believe at some point he has all the talent in the world to be a winner. I think it's another case. It's a very similar case to like Mike Trout. Where would Mike Trout conversation be amongst the greatest of all time if he had 2 championships, if he had 3 championships, right? So I think Connor McDavid's kind of on that trajectory, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that are a little worried. Maybe, Edmonton looks like a mess, and I don't think he's ever going to do it. And if he signs long-term 10 years, they don't believe it. So that will really ward off a lot of people from investing. But in terms of just straight generational talent, I think based on who the player is and the talent and the pricing, I think he's a bit underrated.
Yeah. I think his SP Authentic Future Watch Auto BGS 95, it's going from anywhere from 20 to 30K. Mm-hmm. And, if his career pans out the way it is right now, like that's a steal. Like if you project it 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
And I was going to say the same thing about him not winning a cup or not being on a good team that you just mentioned, John. But, he's 25 years old. He's still incredibly young and has he could play for another 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So he's got opportunities, I hope, to be on a better team, whether it's with the Oilers or not. All right, let's go on to number 2. Sidney Crosby, 7th overall, but number 2 on the active list.
I'm going to say underrated again, based on his prices. I think there's a lot more potential in hockey in general. So a lot of this list, in my opinion, is going to be underrated just based on where hockey is. But overall, I just think he's up there, in GOAT conversations, and his pricing for his young guns kind of float around under 4K sometimes. I think that's really, really cheap for him. So I like the upside of Crosby long term for sure, and I think he's severely undervalued. Yeah.
Okay.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. So underrated. Yeah. I think him and Ovi coming up together, and Ovi kind of taking a lot of the spotlight because of all the potential goal-breaking news, really took the shine away from Crosby. This guy, he's opposite of McDavid. He is Captain Canada. He has won everything you can imagine. Juniors, like World Championships, Olympics, Stanley Cups. He has won it all. And when his storied career is over, everyone will be like, yeah, Sidney Crosby was one of the top 5 greatest players of all time. I think he's supremely underrated because of all the hype that McDavid and Ovechkin's getting. So yeah, Crosby, big time underrated for, what's to be a legend in the game.
Yeah. I won't belabor the point. Same, underrated. Mm-hmm. Yeah, history will show his career achievements incredible. Yeah. 100% agree. All right, number 3, his teammate, Evgeny Malkin. Ooh. I don't know if that's a surprise to you, but he's number 3 on the active list, 15 overall.
I know his prices aren't great, so I'm going to say underrated again. He was my fantasy guy. He's my fantasy guy. He's my go-to fantasy guy. So I know Malkin's prices are low. I've checked. I think I checked. It's been a while, but I think it's pretty low based on what he's established in his career as well. I'm surprised he's even playing. It's crazy, but right. I'm going to say he's underrated as well because I know based on where his prices are, I think there's a lot of room to grow. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Malkin is tough. I fight with this one. I want to say, overall, because hockey is so underrated, I will admit, like Hyung said, he is underrated. But within hockey card prices, Malkin is one of those players that's like a notch below generational. He is one of the most amazing players I've ever watched. And I would put him kind of in that same boat as like Leon Draisaitl, right? Problem with Malkin is the dude has been injured. He plays like 60% of the games every year in year. He's just so injured. And it's just a shame that when his career's over, he's going to have the rings because he won all, like, I think 3, did they win 3 Stanley Cups with Crosby? So he's got the championships, but in terms of the stats and all of that, it's going to be a shame, man. He's going to go down as like that almost generational, one of the best Russian players of all time, one of the best hockey players of all time, but he's not going to be ranked in the top 15 because of this, right? It's kind of like, I think of one of my favorite players, Peter Forsberg. Peter Forsberg,
Yeah.
if he didn't get, the dude didn't get injured, we would probably consider him top 15, top 10 of all time. And he's not in that conversation because he just kept getting injured, right? So I put Malkin in that same boat. So long term, I still think he's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, but I don't know. I think within hockey, I'm going to say for now, rightly priced, but
Properly rated. Okay.
properly priced, but you know, there might be some opportunity if his cards haven't moved because he's been injured for quite a while and COVID and blah, blah, blah. So I think if somebody were to make it, you know, it could be a good play. You can get in on his
$700, $750 for his young guns.
Right. I remember I passed on his SB Authentic Auto like in the summer, 4 months. I don't know, like not too long ago, and I think it closed at like $900. And I was like, no, I can't do it. And then now I'm like, oh, I totally should have bought it. I'm such an idiot. But yeah, there's a play on Malkin for sure. I think there could be a little bit risky, but I'm gonna, because of the risk, I'm just gonna kind of say rightly priced for now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, you know, again, with the whole hockey being underrated, but I think it's a trap. Like Malkin is kind of slowly being forgotten. Like no one talks about Malkin because he's been injured so long, you know, recently as well.
He's always been Robin to Crosby's Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
Scottie Pippen, right?
100%. So yeah, I think, you know, it's so tempting to buy into it right now. It's like, because you look at the price and you look at what he's accomplished. But if I ask myself, will I see a spike in his prices at any time in the near future or even in long-term future? I can't say that with conviction that I will. So, you know, maybe a little overrated despite the prices being where they are. All right. So number 4, Alexander Ovechkin. So he's 4 on the list, 25 overall. What do you guys think?
I love OV, but I'm going to say overrated in terms of pricing. I think people are paying an arm and a leg for him, and he's getting a lot of press because of the scoring. And yeah, I think long term you can't go wrong, right? But I just think right now you're buying into a bit of the hype, and I think his Young Guns almost reached like 10K at one point, which is insane.
That's
yeah,
insane.
so it's gone down to about, I think, 6 or 7. Or maybe north of 7, but yeah, it's still pretty strong and that all stemmed from all that press he was getting with the scoring. So I'm gonna say overrated, but long term, if you're in, I mean, it's not a bad thing.
Sure.
Right. And let's get one thing clear: we're not saying Ovechkin himself is overrated.
No,
we're saying his prices. His pricing is overrated. I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with Hyung. I still believe, I think Ovechkin's going to get the goal scoring record, as sad as that is for me, because as Canadians, Wayne Gretzky, he's our hero, and he holds a whole bunch of records that nobody thought would ever be broken. And here comes Ovechkin, and he's close, and I actually believe he's going to do it. So I understand the hype. At the same time, I think Ovechkin's prices are driven by a lot of the sports card industry, right? Like if you look at, no knock on somebody like Jeff Wilson, but he's not like a hockey enthusiast, but he is all about investing in sports cards, right? So he doesn't know what to invest in hockey, but first thing you look at is either Connor McDavid or Ovechkin, same way like we've talked about in F1 with Lewis Hamilton. So Ovechkin is one of those characters that if you don't know what to do in hockey, you at least go for Ovechkin. So I think that is what's driving so much of his pricing, just people wanting to spend on big cards like the Young Guns or the Future Watch Auto or RPAs, and they don't know where to put it, and they go like, oh yeah, Ovechkin, got to put in Ovechkin, he's the guy that's everyone's buying. So I think for that reason, I'm gonna agree. I think it's a bit overrated. For who he is, he's won 1 championship. Yeah, he's gonna win the goal scoring record, and yeah, it's sexy. But for up against McDavid, Crosby, like his card is like double theirs. It's crazy. So yeah, I think it has some time to come back down.
Okay. Yeah. You know, if you asked me 4 or 5 years ago when I got back into the hobby, I was going to get an Ovechkin SB Authentic Future Watch Auto.
Don't say it.
For BGS 9.5 for 650, 650. I'm like, damn, I just want to pay 640. You know what I mean? Like, and it makes me sick when I see how much it's going for now. Like, it's what, 15, 20K? Like, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So just for that, overrated. Like, like, and you know what? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure he's going to break the goal scoring record. Like, he's 35, 36.
Yeah.
I think there's a slowdown period coming. We don't know when. He's still like elite.
Man, he I thought too, but the guy is not slowing down.
How
man.
much further back is he of Gretzky?
Let me see this.
But anyway, like, he would have to, like, I think I did the math. Like, he has this 30 goal plus every season until, you know, next 3-4 years or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
I might be wrong.
he's got like a what does he have? Like 140 goals to go.
Okay.
So he would need 4 seasons, of like 35 goals kind of thing.
So he's got to play till he's 40, right? So
That's true.
It's going to be close.
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 And if he doesn't make it, then I could see those prices like, dropping just a little.
Big time.
You know, you could get a discount, right? But
Yeah.
you're right. The hype is built in right now that he has the potential to break that record. And I
Right.
think that's what we're seeing with the prices. But so, yeah, for that reason, he's overrated. All right. Number 5, Artemi Panarin. 5th active on the active list and 27 overall.
I know Clark, this is your guy, and I'm gonna say he's underrated based on his prices for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a scorer and he's gonna keep on scoring. So I think his prices are like hovering around a couple $100 for a PSA 10. I think it's a bargain in the short and long term. So yeah, underrated.
Yeah, there's no question he's been one of my underrated darlings. Underrated all the way. He is an absolute superstar. I'm not going to put him in the generational talent, but he is like an A+ superstar.
Yeah.
Totally underrated.
Yeah. And he's just a perennial sleeper. Like, every year
Totally.
he's producing. So hopefully he gets his due and, you know, and is properly in the spotlight with all the other big time players. All right, let's go on then to number 6, Leon Draisaitl, 30th overall.
Man, I'm gonna say he's a little overrated, based on where his prices are. I think he's gonna be 100-point scorer, like consistently. So you definitely have a superstar, but for me, part of his price, like if you compare him to McDavid, let's just say, you're like, okay, he's kind of cheap compared to McDavid, but then
and they're putting up kind of similar stats, right?
Right, but then you say, okay, is Draisaitl worth like almost $2,000 for his young guns when he hasn't really established, and he's in the same boat as kind of like Connor McDavid, right? So I think, and his future watch auto prices aren't cheap either. So I think he's a little overrated in terms of his price, and part of the hype with McDavid. So I'm gonna say overrated, but I do like Draisaitl.
Yep, me too. I think he's one of the best in the game. This is quite boring because we keep all agreeing with each other. I think I saw the last sale on a Young Guns and it was like $1,700 US.
Yeah, that's high. That's high.
That's pretty expensive. Like my scare on Draisaitl is I put him in that category of Malkin, like a notch below generational. He's like an A++ superstar, but you know he's always going to be the Scottie Pippen of the Edmonton Oilers. As long as he's around there, right? He's always going to have that shadow. And who knows if Edmonton doesn't end up winning, or even if they do, or if Draisaitl gets hurt, or whatever happens in his career, he could end up like Malkin in terms of pricing, not in terms of like career, but in terms of pricing. So I think for the time being, based on where all of hockey is, and I know within hockey, for outsiders coming in, they're only going after Ovechkin or McDavid. And then, you know, Draisaitl's kind of not in that crowd either. Like people aren't talking about Draisaitl in like YouTube videos and Dallas card shows. No one talks about Draisaitl, right? So he's not in that conversation. So for him to be that much more expensive than McKinnon and Kucherov and some of these other A+ guys, yeah, I'll put him at overrated.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. This is a boring segment because we're 6 for 6 on like whether we agree with one another. But I wonder with Draisaitl, like how much of it is because he's playing with McDavid, unfairly or fairly. That's the kind of the question that's been thrown around when you talk about Draisaitl, right? Like if he played, like for sure he has a talent, but all those numbers are, it can't hurt to play with to play with McDavid on the same line. So, and then like you guys mentioned, at the price that he's going for now, I don't know if it's worth it at that value. Right. All right, let's go to number 7, Nikita Kucherov of the Lightning.
Kucherov,
33 overall.
I'm gonna say a little underrated, to be honest. I think he gets no love. How many cups?
2.
Yeah. So and he
maybe more. I don't know. Let me check.
Yeah, I think you're gonna look back at Kucherov and he's gonna have a pretty nice career. Like, I mean, he had a couple monster years the last few years before COVID. So I think he's pretty underrated compared to kind of like the current Draisaitl's and McDavid's and Auston Matthews of the world, compared to what he's producing and what he's kind of produced in his relatively young career. So I think I'm gonna say underrated.
Okay, underrated.
Oh. I think it looks like he has 2. I'm also going to say slightly underrated. The tough part about Kucherov, like, man, so much of hockey is driven by, like, I don't want to get into the politics of everything, but, when we were young, we were so influenced by the whole, like, that Don Cherry era where it was like Canadian hockey, tough, gritty. Russians are a bunch of wimps. You don't like Russian players. And I don't know how much of that has completely worn off, but it's clear to me that Russian players are in the grand scheme of talent and production and all that stuff, they're very underrated, man. You look at Panarin and Kucherov is in that mix. And for who Kucherov is, he is up there with guys like Draisaitl. His prices are, I mean, they're not cheap. I think his Young Guns, what is it, like 900?
Like 800, I'd say.
Okay, so it's gone down a bit. I wouldn't say it's like, his card should be at 1,000, 1,100 is probably the right number. So he's probably slightly underrated. And I think it was at those numbers, if not higher, when he won the Stanley Cups. So there's a bit of a Stanley Cup hangover. But yeah, I'll put him at underrated.
Yeah, I think he's slightly overrated. Like, I remember those 2 seasons or 3 seasons when they won the cup, like, especially with fantasy hockey, like absolute stud, number 1 overall or number 2 at the very least.
Right.
But he's had injuries and he's kind of fallen off a little bit, and I wonder if he's going to be like the equivalent of, for you baseball fantasy guys, Matt Kemp. Remember Matt Kemp was a stud. Like for several years. And that's around the time when I started to really get back into the hobby as well. I'm all in on Matt Kemp, like buying his rookie cards, PSA 10s, and I'm glad I didn't go through with it because it's like he's kind of fallen off, right? So I wonder if that's going to be a similar trajectory in terms of Kucherov's career. That might be a hot take for a lot of people, but that's a
hot take. It's a hot take. I don't know. Look at his stats 5 years ago: 100 points in 80 games, 128 points in 82 games. 3 years ago, COVID, 85 points in 68 games. Okay. He didn't play at all last year, but playoffs he got 32 points in 23 games, and this year's 30 points in 24 games. So, I don't know, man. I don't know if he's fallen off. That's a pretty hot take.
I'm trying to make this segment a little bit more interesting too. So I'll go out on a limb, but I think right now he's a little bit slightly overrated, and he's 28, so definitely he's not over the hill by any means.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, I feel like he's kind of not been in the same discussion as like a lot of the guys we already talked about lately. Okay, number 8, Patrick Kane, 39 overall.
Patrick Kane, my boy.
I think Johnny's not gonna like my answer to this. Oh man, I do like Patrick Kane. I think he's fallen off a bit, but I think his prices are kind of high, in my opinion. But yeah, it all depends. Like like he's kind of a guy that established a really really nice career, and especially in that like 2010 era, or like just a little after, that was a fun Chicago team. But I think I'm stuck on that. Like that's why I like Patrick Kane, and I think if I look at it objectively, I think he's gonna put out a nice career. I don't think it's gonna be anything wild, so I'm gonna say he's slightly overrated. But like I said, I like him because he was another fantasy guy for me, so I can't I can't hate on him. He's won me some fantasy money.
My current favorite hockey player is Patrick Kane. I think he is rightly priced, not overrated or underrated. What's his Young Guns at right now? Like $1,500?
I would say 15 to 2,000, 1,700.
Yeah. I mean, it's high versus some of the other guys on this list, and it just goes to show how underrated some of these other ones are. Like Panarin at $400 or something ridiculous. But Patrick Kane, I'm gonna put rightly priced, and he's not necessarily like a buy because I'm not really gonna see his price. I don't think his prices are gonna move all that much in this year or next year or 3 years from now. But whenever it is he decides to retire, and hopefully that's in 4 or 5 years, because that'll give him an opportunity to become the all-time U.S. points leader. And at that point, I mean, he'll probably go down as the greatest American of all time, if not already. I think some people already have him on the the Mount Rushmore of lists, maybe slightly behind Chris Chelios or something like that. But at that point in a couple, if you like Patrick Kane and you're in this for the long haul, he's a nice buy because he's going to go down as the greatest U.S. player of all time. 20 years from now, I'm sure Austin Matthews has something to say about that. But for now, it's rightly priced. I don't really see his prices moving for the next couple of years, but I'm going to say rightly priced.
Okay. I think he's slightly overrated. I think like Hyung, like just nostalgic about that Blackhawk team that was with Jonathan Toews, and like this is incredible. They just had amazing chemistry, and Kane always being a top 10 fantasy guy too for me. Scored a lot, but the team's aged and everyone's kind of forgotten about the Blackhawks. And I think that's going to play a factor in his prices. Like just the interest won't be there. I don't know how many people will put value in being the ultimate US scoring leader. Like I'm not sure that's a big enough factor to hold his prices where they are now. I just checked. It's about $1,600 on average for his PSA 10 Young Gun.
It is expensive,
and I could see that still dropping a little bit.
Right.
So I'm going to say a little overrated.
What happens if Patrick Kane gets traded? No, I don't think a lot of people are anticipating or ever thought about that. Right. That'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, he's 33 though.
I don't think Chicago. They're kind of in a lull, right? They're kind of in that. Kane, Taves are too old now.
Yeah, they need to reboot.
Getting old. They kind of need a rebuild. So you could, I don't know. You never know, man. This off season, his contract is up shortly. You never know, something could happen. That could to give it a little bit of a pop in his cards.
Good point. All right, 2 more. We'll end off the segment. Number 9, Steven Stamkos. He's 46 overall.
So he's a guy kind of like the nostalgia is there for me. At one point I thought Stamkos was the greatest hockey player ever, but I think based on his prices, I think he's kind of underrated, to be honest. I think just based on his prices, he's kind of similar to Patrick Kane, where you see, how many more years does he have? It's a nice career. Is he a Hall of Famer? Maybe, right? It's one of those things, but at $600 in around there, I think he's pretty relatively cheap compared to the younger players that are pushing 2,000 that really haven't accomplished much yet. So I'm gonna say he's underrated based on price and based on his output.
Okay.
Ooh, this one's tough. I'm gonna say he's rightly priced. I always felt like Stamkos was a bit of an overrated hockey player in general, like in the wide scope of the NHL. Like I don't think he has a style of game or leadership that really wins, although he has won. But I mean, he's kind of winning on a stacked. He's like the trigger man on a super stacked team. And I don't know if Stamkos has really been that liked overall. Like there are a lot of Stamkos fans, and there's a lot of kids that like Stamkos, but I don't think he's kind of got that sex appeal that like McDavid or, Ovechkin has. And I don't know where he's going to eventually fall. Like he's won the cups and it's really not really moved his prices. He's going to not end up being one of the greatest scorers of all time or not even the greatest goal scorers of all time. He is a really good goal scorer, but he's just going to fall in that kind of medium of like really good hockey player, like Pat LaFontaine, like that kind of, for some of the old heads.
Whoa.
I used to love Pat LaFontaine.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Pull his OPG, man.
Some of the young listeners can be like, what the heck are you talking about?
I can't believe you bust out Pat LaFontaine.
Yeah. I just feel like he's going to...
Are we going to talk about LaFontaine?
I just feel like he might fall into that category. When he retires and all is said and done, he's just kind of going to be this forgotten quasi Hall of Fame kind of player. So I don't know. I just think he's rightly priced. I don't know if there's anything that's going to really spike his cards, anything that's going to really dip his cards, because he's still producing point per game. But there's just nothing about him that is making it anybody change their mind, right? The whole concept of like change my mind, right? So rightly priced.
Okay. I think nostalgia is going to play a factor for me too. I love Stamkos. I think he's underrated. I think have a few of his SP Authentic Future Watch raw cards on my watch list, around $400 for like a point per game player still.
Yeah, that's a steal.
And playing for Tampa, which is they're still a good team, right? So I think it just takes not that many people to notice what he's been doing and on a good team. So that I think that can move the needle. So we'll see. All right, and lastly, rounding up the top 10 of active NHL points per game players, Nathan McKinnon, 58th overall.
Man, I think Canadians in general are expensive. In hockey, it looks like so. I like McKinnon, but I think he's overrated based on his prices. I think his prices are dipping recently over the last couple months, but I think it might be a buy maybe soon. But I think he's still a little overpriced. And I think I kind of see that happening over the next few years because he's still young, but he's in that like middle of his career where people you don't see too much volatility in pricing at that point. So I think if you like McKinnon as a long-term pick, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think his current prices are high based on what he's at right now.
Right. Okay. What's his Young Guns at? Like $1,000?
A little over 1,000, I believe.
A little over 1,000?
Yeah. It was up to it was higher. So it definitely retracted a bit. So it's been floating around, I think, 1,200, somewhere around there.
Okay. I'm going to, again, say rightly priced. I think the $1,000 Young Guns mark is probably the right price for guys like McKinnon. Like, I think Panarin should be at that price. Kucherov should be at that price. You guys would probably agree. I don't know if I agree, but you guys might agree. Stamkos, a guy like Stamkos should be kind of at that price. So I'm going to agree. I think McKinnon, he was on fire like last year and MVP conversations and all of that stuff. And his card was, before everyone else kind of came into it, it was when it was just sort of the hockey sports collectors, his card was on fire and it went up by a lot. I mean, it was like competing with Draisaitl, McDavid, like it was kind of in that stratosphere, right? And it's come down quite a bit since then, but I think rightly so, because I think he is a top-notch superstar, but he's not at that McDavid level, so I think he's rightly priced.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. Maybe he's a slightly at the prices where he's going for now, slightly overrated. Like I was trying to pick one of his cards, like his his SP Authentics Future Auto, and then then he was injured, and then thank goodness the Olympics didn't happen for Team Canada, so that one didn't do anything for his prices either. So I was hoping to find his card at a discount, but yeah, it's still up there. Like it hasn't really, in terms of what I expected it for, like where he was, like being injured and all this other news where he's kind of rehabilitating. But yeah, it's still pretty expensive, and I think and the Avalanche is just a killer team still, so I'm sure he'll be able to contribute when he gets to full pace. But right now slightly overrated, but if you believe in him, it might be a good time to pick one up and just hold for the long term.
Right.
All right. So yeah, that's kind of what we'll try to do on a weekly or maybe every other week basis, where we'll tackle another sport, try to do a deep dive in a key stat and see where these players rank, and then we'll just kind of go through the top 10 list. Hopefully people enjoy a segment like this. All right, let's finish off this episode then with our weekly segment we call Pick One. And this week it's our regular edition, so we're just going to put up, each of us, we're going to put up 2 cards, and then we debate which one we would rather invest in. All right, and as usual, Hyung, you want to lead off?
Sure. So I already know what you guys are going to pick on this one because it's fairly easy, but my whole point was to raise a point because obviously the market doesn't agree with us. Okay? And before I say this, these were actually sold like the last couple weeks, sold items on eBay. Right. Okay, would you rather 2019 Topps Heritage, so they have red ink autos numbered to 70. I'm going to pick Vladdy Guerrero Jr. red ink auto, PSA 10.
Ooh, damn.
So it's a rookie red ink auto. It's sold for $3,850 versus Wander Franco's 2022 Topps Heritage red ink auto, which is a redemption. It closed on bids for $4,300, a raw redemption card, versus a PSA 10 Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Obviously, I know what answer you're going to say, but the market has spoken because they were both bids, unless I don't know what happened. But
these are real prices, yeah.
These are real prices, and I'm only bringing this up because there's my buddy Eric. He brought this up on his Instagram, and he said, "Which one would you rather have?" And I'm like, "This is obvious," but I was shocked at the prices, and this is maybe a learning lesson, kind of put things into perspective. What do you guys think?
Franco. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, obviously Vladdy. That's insane. Like, I don't know what else to say. You know, I think it'll correct itself. Like, I think when you see Wander Franco,
which one though? Would Vladdy correct itself up or Franco correct itself down?
Oh, Franco
both,
down.
but Franco, I see Franco going down. Maybe not a lot because I think
red inks are big
crazy.
And they're crazy. Right. Just to give you an idea, I think at its peak, I think Ohtani's red ink, where it was north of 10K, you know, Soto's red ink is probably floating around there, and you're getting into that range. So Vladdy at 38,
that's pretty
That's
crazy.
a steal. That's a steal. You know, like when I say though, like it'll play out like, you know, Franco might hit 15 to 20 home runs this year.
That's what scares me. Yeah.
Right? And then like steal 30 bases. That's good, but it's not
season.
super super elite. Yeah. Like, you know, and then, you know, like a high batting average, right? But you know, Vladdy will have a really good average too, plus 30 to 40 home runs. Like it's a no-brainer if you just compare stats.
Right.
Right now, I think Franco has that bump because he's coming out in a set where he's the obvious number one chase.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, but
makes sense.
I'm investing in Vladdy all the way.
Yeah. How about you, Johnny?
Yeah. For me, like in general, Wander Franco, the hype is so crazy, and I can understand why. I mean, it's been this pent up demand for the flagship card, and it's just all kind of culminating into one crazy moment. But Franco, like he's just so overpriced right now, and it's nothing to do with like his talent. We all know he's an all-world talent. But the problem with Franco is, we talked about this, is like he's not really going to be he's not going to be part of the home run race. He's kind of fall in that, like at worst maybe like a Bo Bichette, at best and this is what people are hoping, at best he's going to be kind of like a Soto. He's going to be competing with Soto in terms of like on base and batting titles and all that stuff. But he's not going to be a part of the home run race unless something changes. So I think after this year and we see where Wander Franco, his stats are and who he is, I think that it's going to start to come down big time. Like, you know, he's going to start to model into like a Ichiro Suzuki or something like that. And that's like an all-world Hall of Fame player. It's not a knock. It's just, I think people are expecting him to be sexy like Tatis and Acuna. These guys are sexy because they're a part of the news every day. They're a part of that home run race. They're a part of what is buzzworthy to drive like interest and excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Wander Franco is going to be a part of that, a lot of that stuff. So his price is going to come down a lot, I think. So regardless, 4,300, 3,800, both seem like a steal, kind of, because we're talking red ink auto it's like,
I love it.
Yeah,
that's like
it's one of my favorite
quasi grail
cards,
cards for a lot of people, right? So
Yeah.
but still, I think it's the Guerrero for sure. No
Yeah,
questions.
I obviously I'm in agreement with you guys, but I was just shocked when I did see it, just because the market has spoken, right? This is where the market says that at least two people think that was worth more than the Vladdy, right? So for me, it obvious is it's a PSA 10 Vladdy red ink. It's crazy. It's like such a crazy card as is, but to put on top of it, it's a Wander redemption, right? And Wander's gonna scribble his his auto. He's already in the big leagues, auto. 2 years in. You see his 2019 Bowman. It's like so nice. It's like Acuna's. He takes like 5 minutes on each card, just signing it and dotting every I. And then as 2022 approaches, it's just like literally chicken scratch. Exactly. So, it's insane to me that prices are for a raw card, right? So it's obvious, but the whole reason why I brought it up was to just prove that FOMO and the hype of the superstar chase is an inflated play. So just be smart at your purchases, because there's other buys that are probably better than the current buy. Because you're right, like we talked about this early on the show, we all love Wander Franco, but realistically he puts up 320, 20 home runs, 80 RBIs, 120 runs scored, with a 900 OPS and a respectable WAR. What's that going to do to his prices? That's kind of like his expectation. I don't see him hitting 30 plus, to be honest. So I think his prices are going to be in for a real correction in the next year or so. So I'm going to say obviously the Vladdy red ink auto is their number one choice.
Mm-hmm. I like it for the point that you made, for sure.
Yeah. All right, boys. I'm going to keep it to the hockey theme. And in honor of Canadians, it was a big deal seeing Upper Deck Series 1 release. And that's a big rip right now. And a lot of question people have is the two big chase young guns is Cole Caulfield and Trevor Zegras. So my 1v1 is who you picking, Cole Caulfield or Trevor Zegras?
This is a trick question. Like Trevor Zegras all the way, right? I might be ignorant. Montreal Canadian fans might really hate me right now, but Zegras, I like the flash. He's a stud, and I don't know what else to say.
I think Zegras has it all, but I think Caulfield just scored 2 goals within 18 seconds. Like literally.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. And he did come off with on a slow start. So I think a playoff push with Montreal can, maybe excite prices. Whereas I think Zegras is out of contention, but you got Zegras who's in the Calder contention. So I think Zegras has it all. He has the hype. He has the flash. He has kind of like even the anticipation of Upper Deck. The lack of Upper Deck being present, it kind of reminds me of the Zion and Ja. Obviously not to that extent, because I wouldn't say they're crazy like John Morant talent yet. But I like the future of Zegras, and I think he's going to be a fan favorite across the board, just because he does funny stuff, his lacrosse background or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to say Zegras.
Nice. All right, boys. I'm actually, so PC wise, I think stylistically, I love watching Zegras. He's crazy excitement, and I would want, if I was open a box, I would personally want Zegras, but I'm gonna pick Cole Caulfield. And
okay,
disclaimer for all the listeners out there, I am not a hockey expert by any means. I'm just a dude that really likes hockey, so don't take my picks with a grain of salt. But Cole Caulfield, there's a lot of buzz when he first came in. He was, he had the small number of games right before the end of the season, and then he made a huge splash in the playoffs. And at the beginning of this year, Montreal was a hot mess, and he had 3 points in 25 games or something ridiculous,
Yeah.
and he got sent down. And people were thinking, oh, he's like, see, he was just overrated. He's too small for the game. Marty St. Louis came
tiny.
along. He's small. Marty St. Louis came along, and I think he's got like 19 points in 15 games with 10 goals. So I think people are kind of sleeping on Cole Caulfield right now, and it's a great time to get in on him. I'm picking Cole Caulfield because long run, kind of like baseball, home runs is the show, right? And in hockey, goal scoring is a show. Cole Caulfield, believe it or not, he is a goal per game player in his stats. So in World Juniors and his like USHL, I don't know, his amateur career, he was pretty much almost a goal per game. And his final year at Wisconsin, I think it was Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
He had like 30 goals, and he was almost a goal per game. This is the kid's career. He is small, but he is lights out goal scorer. Like, he is as elite as we've ever seen. And if he ends up, let's say Trevor Zegras, let's put it this way. In 3 years from now, Trevor Zegras is an elite all-star player. He's getting 85 points, 90 points in 82 games. He's got 20 goals and 62 assists. Caulfield is 82 games, 85 points, and he's got 52 goals. He's competing with Austin Matthews for the goal scoring title. Like, let's think about where those prices would be for Cole Caulfield, right? So I'm going to go the other way. I know I personally like Zegras more, but I'm going to pick Cole Caulfield as the 1v1.
All right. I think you're wrong, but we'll see.
We'll see.
That's a good one, though. I like it. All right. We'll end off this show with my 1v1, my pick one. And, full circle. Would you rather go for the 2008 Upper Deck Radiance triple auto card that we talked about at the top of the show with Jordan, Kobe, LeBron on card auto, BGS 8.5, or the Panini Flawless triple logo man of Giannis, Steph Curry, KD, that was pulled recently by Leighton Sports Card? And I asked this because I feel like one of them's gonna outsell the other, and I'm not sure I agree with it. But you guys go.
I know exactly what you're thinking. But yeah, that card, I will say, the Flawless, the triple logo man that Leighton Sports Cards pulled. Mm-hmm. One, you love the commentary of the Leighton Sports Cards. You gotta watch it. It's hilarious. His commentary is the best. Just in general, that's his personality. He's been doing that, for years, forever. Right? And it's a beautiful. It's a 1-of-1 beautiful card. So I see the lure, and especially with the hype of the logo man, everybody's chasing that, and it would be cool to have. But for me, you're dealing with this kind of money. I'm looking long term, more so, at least long term, and I just can't pass up 3 GOAT autos on the same card over something that's hyped up based on a marketing tactic, or right. There's nothing special about that logo man, to be honest, other than it's a beautiful card that was marketed great. In the long run, I think I'd be much happier with the triple auto that we talked about. So I'm gonna go triple auto for sure. But I know that the Flawless is gonna outsell the triple auto. Right. Or something stupid like that.
Yeah, that's exactly where Clark was going with it. Yeah. Everything that Hyung said, and I'll add to that. As a sports card collector, like, how could you not want Jordan, Kobe, LeBron on card on the same card? That is ridiculous. That is like an all-time Grail status dream card. It is a no-brainer 1v1 for me. But you guys are right. Based on all the social media and the buzz and the hype around these triple logo men right now, I could see that one selling more, which is kind of crazy. I hope not, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I was going. I would not be surprised at all if the triple logo man outsells the triple auto, and that's why I'm asking the 1v1. I'm aligned with you guys. I go for the triple auto. I wonder if people just think we're old. Going for the 3, previous generation greats rather than the current ones. But
Right.
you know what? We'll put it out in the poll for this coming
sounds
week.
good.
And see
Would
what
love
people
to see
say.
that.
Yeah.
I have a question. Is this the first year, like this triple logo man thing? This is the first time they've done it, right?
I think there was
Are there other ones?
there might be it might be a very old concept. I could be wrong. I know.
Oh yeah, because I
Logo
think
Man-
there's a triple logo man like upper deck, right?
yeah, really long time ago.
Yeah.
Early 2000s, I want to say, but I could be wrong. I have to look.
But in
that
terms
up.
of flawless, is this the first
Until
time flawless?
I believe so. Or they had the Zion, or that could have been immaculate. I'm not sure, but
Like a duel? I think there was duels before.
There was duels, but not triple.
Yeah.
Because I will say, you know, what would be fair in terms of pricing is if some big time collector would want to get the entire set of triple logo men.
Oh, I think that's impossible.
I know, but
The
let's say
one-of-ones.
the bounty's out there, right? I don't know how many
Yeah.
triple logo men there are. Maybe there's only 5 of them. There's the rookie one, and there's the LeBron one, and there's this one.
There's too many rich collectors out there. No one's going to
Well,
concede.
now you have to battle Drake. Good luck with
Yeah,
that.
I know, right? Yeah. But with all these rich guys battling each other, who knows, man? One of them might want the entire collection, and we'll just pay whatever.
Yeah, you might see some bartering cars soon.
Yeah,
Some
seriously.
G-Wagons going off.
And houses.
All right, I don't know about that, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of Cards to the Moon. We really appreciate your support, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. Give us 5 stars if you enjoyed this episode. It really helps us out a lot. And yeah, we'll see you again next week. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.